Good evening, everyone. Severe Other Team 9 meteorologist Nathan Chine joining you for this edition of Nate at 8. And coming up, we're going to be talking about a return of eventually some rain. But first, more cloud cover. We saw a little bit of sunshine today, and it's going to be back to cloudy skies tomorrow before the rain on Friday. From there, dry and brighter then for this weekend and during this entire stretch. In general, some fairly seasonable to a little bit above normal temperatures. No real cold days lie ahead for us. Still some cold mornings, but these afternoons, highs are still going to be climbing near, if not into the 50s as we go throughout this weekend. So that's a bit of what we're going to be talking about for this edition of Nate at 8. I appreciate it as always for tuning in. Let's jump into things. And starting off with our temperatures tonight, really similar with respect to what we dealt with for this morning ahead for tomorrow morning. Temperatures are going to be dropping back in the 30s. And as we settle to around the mid 30s, this is when we're going to start to spot some more areas of fog developing again into tomorrow morning. And much like this morning, tomorrow morning, we can deal with some areas of dense fog again. It can be patchy in nature, but with it being dense in spots, may want to still allow yourself a little extra time to get to your destination tomorrow morning when we're contending with some fog. No precipitation to deal with tomorrow morning. And once this fog does lift into the latter part of the morning, this is when it'll give way to, well, I wish I could say sunshine, but unfortunately just cloudy skies. So areas of fog, which can be dense in the morning, give way to those cloudy skies, just as Futurecast is illustrating. Pretty dreary, but at least it's dry for your Thursday. High temperatures really similar with respect to today, still well in the 40s near 50. It'll feel very similar to how it felt today again for your Thursday. When we will notice a little bit of a warm up is by the time Friday rolls around, still dealing with cloudy skies, but temperatures will get a little bit of a boost, likely climbing closer to the mid 50s Friday afternoon. This is going to be in line then with a return of some rain showers coming our way. We'll deal with those rain showers as we go throughout Friday into Friday night. By Saturday morning, then these rain showers will quickly leave for your Saturday. In fact, there's a look at 8 a.m. And as you can see, by 8 o'clock Saturday morning, a lot, if not all, of these rain showers are likely making their way out of our areas. So it does not last long at all Saturday morning. What does remain quickly tapers off, and we'll notice not only dry conditions into Saturday afternoon, but a decrease in cloud cover as well. Really a pleasant weekend upon us with a good amount of sunshine, highs mid-lower 50s. Not a bad weekend at all. Futurecast rainfall upwards of about a half of an inch of rain is possible. I don't foresee a whole lot of rain with this system, but at least up to about half of an inch, a quarter to a half of an inch is possible with this. It's on the lighter side, not anticipating an excessive amount of rain coming our way Friday into Friday night. And while Futurecast wasn't showing it, I do think there's a potential for some rain even by Friday morning. So we'll watch throughout the day Friday. I think we have a chance for some rain that will continue into Friday night. It's not a complete steady rain, but it can be occasional with not too many breaks, unfortunately, in it throughout Friday going into Friday night. By Saturday morning, though, again, it will leave. So while we do end the work week wet, at least for the weekend, those dry conditions will likely return. So the following round of precipitation past that will be arriving into the middle of next week, right before Thanksgiving. Tuesday and into Wednesday will be a return of our next precipitation threat, and that's when we'll likely deal with more widespread precipitation moving back in. And Christopher is asking, is it going to snow before Thanksgiving Day? And Christopher, getting to that, no, we're going to be looking at rain. It will be precipitation, the forecast, but it's going to be in terms of rain coming our way Tuesday and Wednesday. In fact, our temperatures up until Thanksgiving Day are pretty mild, and that is going to be a potent cold front passage around the middle of next week is what it delivers, not only that following round of some rain for the middle of next week, but delivers a cool down. So look how mild we are up until that point going into the first half of next week. Highs are in the 50s, and then we drop sharply Thanksgiving Day into next weekend into the 40s to 30s. It's going to be a cold stretch of weather going into that weekend, even arriving by Thanksgiving Day. And this will be marked certainly as a sharp drop in temperatures from Wednesday into Thursday that will carry over into the weekend. We'll get some colder air reinforced into the region and likely deal with their highs in the 30s. And I don't foresee much of a warm up into next Sunday either. So that being said, it's going to be cold into next weekend. Maybe you want to get those Christmas decorations up and Christmas lights on right after Thanksgiving. Well, if you don't mind putting them up a bit earlier this weekend, it's going to be a lot better than next weekend. Even if, don't mind putting them up early. And of course, just not if you don't want to, turn them on. If you don't mind putting them up a little early, maybe you have a tradition of doing it right after Thanksgiving. If you want to put up a little earlier, much better weather conditions for this weekend with respect to next weekend. Again, it's just cold next weekend. In addition to that, there's certainly potential for some snow showers around into next weekend as well, in addition to some of those cold temperatures. So a little bit of snow, cold temperatures, and what a way to kick off. I know some of us already into that kind of Christmas season, but certainly once we get past Thanksgiving, it's full Christmas season, right? And what a way to kick that off with much more of a wintry feel. And again, even possibly a look with some snow showers going into next weekend. So Mother Nature lining up with that changeover to the true Christmas season there going into December with a drop in temperatures. And this could really just mark the very end of this month, going into the end of this month with that cool down next weekend. A bit of a preview from what we could see in December with some more shots of cold air at times. And it still looks possible that this cold air could stick around even into at least a portion of the first week of December as well. I think in general, we can get these shots of some cold air frequently into December, and we'll see if we don't deal with some pretty cold temperatures overall. But certainly, at least for the very beginning of December, as we could see, that cool down is going to be ahead for us. And just kind of touching on the overall winter forecast, which is now a week away, coming up going into Thanksgiving Day. On Wednesday is our winter weather forecast. So if you're curious about how this upcoming winter is going to shape up to be, make sure to stay tuned for that. Next Wednesday is going to be that winter forecast special that we will have air, and it features Chief Meteorologist Jeff Exline, myself, as well as severe other T9 meteorologist Emma Keegan will break down that winter forecast, and that'll be again next Wednesday is when we're going to have that winter special, and that'll be airing during the 5 p.m. newscast. So make sure to stay tuned for that during the 5 o'clock newscast, our winter weather outlook. Give you an idea next Wednesday during the 5 o'clock newscast. Austin, good evening. Today was another cold, chilly day. Can't believe how chilly the latter half of November has gotten. I'm ready to stay inside and watch the wonderful, beautiful snow to fall, Austin says. And I actually looked that up so far for this month, Austin, going through the 18th of this month. Not including today's temperatures, but through yesterday, this is the coldest November averages through that time period of the 1st through the 18th, our coldest stretch of this month since 2019. It's been a while. And, looking at the averages here are going to trend a little bit up going through the weekend, but then right back down at the tail end of this month. So we'll see that average. I think we can climb up a little bit during this stretch over the next week. But after that, these temperatures, the averages are going to start to dip back down by the end of the month. Austin says Thanksgiving Day is perfect to stay indoors and watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and watch the annual Thanksgiving Day football game. And I couldn't agree with you more, Austin. And the weather setting up to be great for that. That is for sure. Setting up great for that. Coming up going into Thanksgiving Day with that cool down, maybe even some snow showers, then going into that next weekend. I will say less than ideal if you're planning on heading out to go shopping on Black Friday. It's going to be quite a cold one. Christopher, again, that winter weather outlook coming up in a week. So the 5 o'clock newscast next Wednesday. So a week from today, we can catch our winter weather outlook of what we're thinking. And it's Christopher saying, when is the first day of winter? So that's in line with our winter solstice, which will occur on December 21st. We're going to kick off winter Sunday, December 21st at 10:03 a.m. to be exact, is your winter solstice. So that is when I will be kicking off winter. When it comes to meteorologically, we break it down more just on average temperatures, and it's we just run it for the beginning and end of months. So the meteorological winter, based on just average temperatures, will go from the beginning of December to the end of February. And again, more of our typical seasons astronomically is in line with the solstice, equinox, going throughout portions of the year. Upcoming winter solstice, again, is what will kick off. A lot of us consider that the official kickoff to winter, again, in December 21st. Christopher says, when is the first snowfall? Really just missed out on it, Christopher. Some locations, not so much Eastern Ohio, the Northern Panhandle, but not too far from this area, especially Western Ohio, Northern Ohio, saw that even last Monday, Tuesday, even last week, saw that as we saw that cold, that shot of cold air, dealing with some accumulating snow. So, us is really just a trace, but not too far from us, already dealt with that first snowfall of the year. Looking ahead, the forecast, looking ahead over the next week, I don't foresee anything. We'll see. It's early yet to try to make any kind of prediction with snowfall 10 days out, but I do think we can have some snow showers around into that following weekend. So I think that would be our next, at least, chance to see something accumulate. Certainly something we'll keep a close eye on, but here over the next 7 days, no. Some rain, yes, but we'll have to wait until at least, at the earliest, the end of next week, right? Into next weekend would be the next chance there for some accumulating snow, at least from the snow showers we can have in the forecast. Would bring at least a chance to see some of that snow accumulate. Joe, good evening. Good evening to you. Thank you as always for tuning in. And Christopher says, how much snow did Middlebourne, West Virginia see in 1993? What a great question, Christopher. I wish I had that off the top of my head. But yeah, that's a good question. Middlebourne, West Virginia see back in 1993. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of good snowfall records outside of really Pittsburgh in our area that keeps good records that date back over even over 100 to 200 years, even dating back since the 1800s is how far back those records go for the Pittsburgh area. But outside of Pittsburgh, the climate records are pretty hit or miss in our area. Unfortunately, there's large gaps in data. Doesn't go back as far consistently. And even the snowfall records, especially, you could find still some pretty good data on temperatures, rainfall that still date back quite a ways in our area, but snowfall, unfortunately, not. So it's a good question. And unfortunately, one that may not even be able to be answered, unfortunately, outside of maybe you could dig up some local records. But again, really a lot of good snowfall records in our area is purely just out of Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh area has some very good, consistent snowfall records that date back, a lot earlier than even 1993. But yeah, certainly. How much snow fell during a lot of snow fell during the blizzard of 1993, Christopher? That was historic. A lot of snow fell across our area. Thank you for everything, Joe. You're very welcome, Joe. Thank you as always for tuning in. I appreciate it. Yeah, Christopher, a lot. That was a historic storm 1993. Dealt with over 20 inches of snow was measured locally from that blizzard of 1993. That was certainly a historic snowstorm for our area. Austin says, can we, the viewers, ask questions about the upcoming winter show? Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, but if you want to, when our next, edition of Nate at 8 following that winter forecast special, if you have any questions about the upcoming winter, I'd be certainly happy to answer them. I'd hate to do it now. I don't want to give it away and spoil it. But yeah, so, next Wednesday, if you tune in later next week, and for that edition of Nate at 8 next Wednesday, following that winter special during the 5 o'clock newscast. And if you tune in, I'll happily be able to answer questions you have, but I hate to spoil it right now. Gail says, I want some snow. And Gail, well, nothing here over the next week, but if you're hoping for some snow, there's at least some snow showers I think can be in our future there to the following week, next weekend. So there's some hope, Gail, for some snow in the forecast, at least looking on the horizon. Christopher says it's the end of the 50s next week. And yeah, certainly a shot of cold air. And I think, overall into that beginning of December period can be quite cold, Christopher. We'll see if we can get back in the 50s at some point. I think there's a chance. It's not too many days, like you mentioned there, Christopher. It's certainly not a string like what we're dealing with the next 7 days, but we may be able to sneak at least some days there into the beginning of December, the first week of December. Maybe we can get back in the 50s. But yeah, certainly this string of 50s that we're dealing with now, this pretty mild stretch here over the next week, likely not. You are absolutely right, Christopher. Likely not seeing a repeat of this going into that first week of December. Gail says, thank you. Thank you, Gail. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you all. I appreciate it as always. Hope everyone had a wonderful day. You can catch me coming up News Night at 10 on Fox 9 News 9 tonight at 11 for the latest on the upcoming rain for your Friday. Again, pretty dreary tomorrow. Watch for some more areas of fog. Can be dense for tomorrow morning's commute. Outside of that, just going to be dreary, dry for tomorrow. Still on the chilly side. We'll get some milder temperatures Friday with highs closer to the mid-50s. That's what we'll deal with that rain. We can have showers around for both the morning as well as the afternoon. Unfortunately, could be with us for a good portion of the day Friday, going into Friday night as well. But by Saturday, Sunday, dry conditions likely return quickly Saturday morning. Most, if not all, the daytime Saturday's dry. Sunday's dry, more sunshine, highs mid-lower 50s. Overall, not a bad stretch of weather as we go into the middle of next week. And then that cool down upon us into the following weekend. Hope everyone has a wonderful night. Until then, have a wonderful night. And I'll see all of you in the next edition of Nate at 8. Have a good night.